CB, the rest of them small. CB.
Us was just telling us about a guy who knew an unusual name. His last name was Weed.
Mm.
First name was Richard,
Ooh.
but that's not what they call him.
Mm-hmm. Weedy?
Billy.
Oh, yeah. Who's that right there? That you?
You better believe this. I can test that in court of law.
Yeah.
Call to order the town council meeting for the town of Chincoteague for the month of June. If we can all please stand for the invocation, remain standing for the pledge.
Dear kind of Heavenly Father, Lord, as we bring a proclamation tonight, Lord, we pray for love. Lord, it seems like everybody that we talk to, Lord, just feels like it's world is just not a loving place to be. Lord, pray we start with me, Lord, that I be more kind and more loving and speak the way that you would have me to speak. Lord, we just do pray that you put in us the want to not just to talk properly, Lord, but reach out to others that are in need. Lord, we have so many elderly, some of our youth, Lord, that just need somebody to take them under their wing, Lord, and just give them a positive word, Lord. Lord, we pray for all of our staff, all of our employees, Lord, not just our police and our EMS system, Lord, but all of our employees, Lord. Please put a hedge of protection around them, Lord, especially during this busy season, Lord, and may they have an extra oomph of love into them, Lord, with all the people that they come in contact with, even the people that are being rude and mean to them. Lord, we just praise you and thank you for all you do and all your many blessings, Lord. And Lord, during this hurricane season, Lord, we certainly pray for a hedge of protection, Lord. And Lord, during this tour season, Lord, we pray for a hedge of protection for our people that come here and visit, Lord. And Lord, we just pray that we be kind to them and that they won't come back and visit us again. Lord, may we do everything that would be pleasing to you in the way you'd have us to do. Lord, we ask these things in Jesus' precious name. And for our sake, amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's good to see a big crowd. If you haven't silenced your cell phones, please do so. First thing on the agenda is public comment. Donna, my older sister.
Good evening. My name's Donna Leonard. I live at 6415 Leonard Lane. And I have a little punch list of things I like to say, and I know I'm on limited time, so if my brother has to ring the buzzer on me, let him go. First of all, I'd like to say that I enjoy serving on the Recreation and Community Enhancement meeting. I do hope that my service there leads to enhancement of the community. However, I'm here to express my complete displeasure with the parking lot at Don Leonard Park. And I'm here to say I oppose a split rail fence that's planned to be put in. I started beating the drum of having grass seed planted there in the area where bonfires from the high school had killed the grass. So I beat the drum, please let's put some grass seed in. I started beating that drum last fall when it's time to plant grass, not summertime. So I never heard any discussion about a parking lot. I did speak with several people who said we need designated parking. And I said parking is not causing the grass to die. So now I see a big parking lot there. People are saying, who approved that? And the answer is, I don't know. I was never part of any discussion about a parking lot. So I'm here to say that putting in a split rail fence to keep people from going on the side where cars have obviously been parking is going to limit or completely eliminate kayakers who use the area that says Kayak Way. And I know it's not the best place to launch a kayak, but it is used on the west side of Chincoteague actively. There was a guy this morning that was pulling his kayak there. So with this parking lot, with the split rail fence, he's going to have to be in the parking lot and carry his gear over to one of the few places you can launch a kayak on that side of the island. So I don't know who makes the decision of whether that split rail fence is going in there or not, but I'm here to say I oppose it. And I think that we've paved paradise and put up a parking lot that wasn't needed because I don't think it was cars parking on the grass that was the problem that caused me to say let's plant some grass seed. So that's my Don Leonard Park complaint. Brianna's Park, I am very happy about it. I'm glad to see progress being made. But sometimes, as you all know, you have to beat the drum when you want something done and want something done. So I've been beating the drum in the committee to add a hangout there. It's been part of the discussion since the park was first planned. And what this hangout will do is give teenagers who are looking for a place where they can hang out. We know that. We've seen them hanging out at the skate park. We've seen them hanging out on top of the playground equipment. They get past the point where they're interested in playground equipment. Today, as we're looking at what kids want to do, they want to be on their phones. And I have suggested that this hangout include 4, they're like plastic flying saucers. There's a prime example of it over at Jellystone Park. I went there with Councilman Savage and Councilman Taylor 2 years ago to show them it's a simple pavilion with some flying saucers hanging in it. The comment that I've heard over and over as I'm beating that drum from Councilman Taylor is we've got to be real careful that it's just big enough for one. You know what I mean? So I'm assuming that he means if we put something in that's big enough for teenagers to have sex in, that we can't do that, which reminds me of the old pirate ship at Memorial Park where I beat the drum and beat the drum. It was a hazard, and condoms were forever being found in the bottom of it. So I don't think it's our job to prevent kids, but I believe if they want to do that, it's not going to take a flying saucer for them to find a place to do that. So I don't know what the process is to continue with something that's been in the plan for Brianna's Park. But I know I beat the drum about it enough. It was in the original plan, and I saw a plan the other day for the future of the fitness trail, and there is nothing there I see. I did meet with Mr. Talbert and Wes, I don't know, maybe a year ago when the basketball court was slid in real fast. We met over there and discussed where that hangout would go. It's in view of the camera, and so the fear of somebody doing something in there that they shouldn't be will be on film now with the new cameras that are being put in. The other thing I've started beating the drum on, which I think is an excellent idea, is the improvement of the waterfront in the Carnival Grounds parking lot. I have talked to several members of the council. It is town property. It is leased to the fire company. I would like to see negotiations start with the fire company in the town to see if that shoreline couldn't be beautified and enhanced if it was done just like the Waterman's Memorial that Phil has put over that ugly riprap and covered up so that people could just be there for a sunset park. As we're losing our view from Main Street, that's the town's property, and it's probably one of the ugliest pieces of property on that waterfront just because of the riprap. So I'm going to stop beating the drum about that for a little while because I'm telling all of you all to start talking about it. It's a great improvement to the town if that could be worked out with the fire company. Real quick, I'd like to say, and I've said it to many of you, you guys need to hear Chris Hines' new talk. What an eye-opener. I went to his talk at the museum. The town of Chincoteague's in trouble. The town of Saxon is in trouble. Whether we agree with sea level rise and climate change or not is not the subject. But what Chris has to say really hit home with me because he said if it continues, if sea level continues at the rate it's going right now, the north end of Chincoteague will be underwater by 2040. You all know how that made me, who's on the point of the north end of Chincoteague Field, because we always hear it's not going to be in my lifetime. Whether 2040 will be in my lifetime or not, I don't know, but not worrying about just me and all the other people that live on the East Coast, I want town council to wonder what's going to happen with that causeway. Because if you can't get over here and you can't get out of here because it's low, and we know. He said at a normal, what is a king tide today will be a normal tide in 2040. We've all been through those king tides. We know what it looks like when the tide comes in here. Much of the East Coast is in trouble, but that causeway is something we need to pre-plan for. The other thing I'd like to express, and then I'm done, is that there's a public hazard at the end of North Main Street, just before you get to the turntable. There's a dock there, and as I understand it, way back when that property was sold, it was sold that this dock had to be put in. It is coming apart. And Ellen, maybe you and I might be the only ones that are old enough to remember this, but we used to have a dentist named Dr. Johnson. And Dr. Johnson lived in the old Shelley house. And his little boy went out one morning and fell in the gut and drowned. You remember that? I know my father came home some kind of upset because his little boy was gone. So the other day I was coming down the road, two little boys pull up on their bicycle, and what do? Go right out across that broken down dock. And immediately I thought of Dr. Johnson's, son, because somebody is drowned in those ponds. So it's not town property. I would assume that it belongs to all the people that live back in that area. But it's a public hazard, and I would like to see it addressed. Thanks for listening. I'll take my beat and my drum out.
That's first. Ms. Knight?
Good evening, everyone. Good to see you. This evening, I have a request on behalf of, let me give you some background. I'm Jean Knight. I live at 8139 Seashell Drive. Until 2 weeks ago, I was the vice chair of the Chincoteague Island Arts Organization / Island Theater. Jane Peak, who was the chair, died from a heart attack very unexpectedly. And so now I am the acting chair. What I'm asking you this evening is to, and I also want to say that on June 30th, there will be a celebration of Jane's life over at the community center. I don't think that Warren, her husband, has set the time yet, but it'll be sometime in the afternoon. I would like for the town of Chincoteague to recognize Jane's accomplishments in form of a resolution in recognition of her many contributions to the town of Chincoteague. As I just stated, she was the chair and long-term board member of the Chincoteague Island Arts Organization. She may have been, I think she was also one of the founding people who put money together to initially put the down payment on to buy the theater and make it into a 501c3 corporation. So she has been the chair of the Chincoteague Island Arts Organization for the past 3 years. She was also someone who was extremely active in the Chincoteague Garden Club. She was a treasurer for, as long as I've been living here full time, which has been 9 years now. She was the auxiliarius of the year for the Women's Auxiliary of the Coast Guard. And she taught many people how to navigate. And she was a teacher trainer in that regard for a long time. She also has been instrumental in keeping bridge clubs and other games activities ongoing at the theater annex and also at the adjacent community center in town. She was someone I believe everyone should recognize for her outstanding contributions. And I hope this evening that you will do a resolution on her behalf. Thank you.
All right. Okay, now we have a special presentation. I guess it's the Chamber of Commerce, and I don't know. We've got 3 people here, so I don't know which one's going to speak or if they're all going to speak. It's just the family.
The Chamber just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge our outgoing member and president. Chris Bott joined the board in 1997 and served for over 25 years in that capacity, but also served as the president of the board from 2021 until this January and saw the Chamber through a couple of very difficult years. His leadership and guidance were instrumental in ensuring not only the Chamber's survival through the 2020 and 2021 years without festivals or in-person gatherings, but also our reemergence and prosperity in the years since. His contributions and influence cannot be overstated. So Chris, if you would come forward, please. We've got something for you.
And I just wanted to add a thank you for myself, Chris. You've been on the Chamber Board. You were on the Chamber Board when I came to the Chamber in 2001. And I just thank you for your leadership and the many phone calls that I've made and said, are you in? Can I come by? I need to talk to you about something. You got us through 2 hurricane festivals. Thank you, Brian Rush, for those hurricanes. So, and your leadership, helped us. There was some tense moments during those discussions during hurricane time. So, I just want to thank you for being there for me and for the board, and during the time that I've been there. Just thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all. Very nice. Thank you.
Right. All right, next up, we have a speaker that everybody likes to hear from, Supervisor Tarr. I appreciate you coming. Except for when you
Thank
raise
you,
taxes.
Honorable Mayor and Council. I don't really have any Chincoteague specific points tonight, but some things here that certainly relate to Chincoteague, could relate later on. But the board, if you've been listening to the radio and reading newspapers, we've been kind of largely focused on those 2 housing projects that are trying to be built. One of them up the north end, and then one down in the middle of the county. That's going to, bring about 600 new residences to Accomack County, and there's nothing but being opposed. So our May meeting was to not do nothing else but renew their special use permit because it had ran out. It's been 2 years since they asked for that special use permit, and of course it's locked up in the courts right now with all kinds of things. So we extended it because we've done it before, and everything. There's nothing that changed except for really ownership. All the dots, the I's were dotted and all the T's were crossed. So that's got another 2 years to be done. And then, of course, our June meeting, and we're having these meetings at the Metonkin Elementary, just anticipating larger crowds, is going to be talking about the Coastal Square there behind Only. So that's where a lot of our focus has been for the last couple months. I do want to, I don't know if you've dissected the state budget yet, but there is a little funding purchase there that was approved to purchase the farmland located immediately outside of Wallops Gates for the state. So looks like Virginia Space is going to do some more stuff And the more rockets they bring here, the more motels are filled. So we love rockets around here, don't we? That's I don't know if you saw that little thing or not, but Mike Mason picked that out of it, and that's pretty good. And of course, the county and HRSD and NASA continue to discuss possibilities of the HRSD taking over NASA's wastewater treatment plant. It's still 2 years out of just getting the MOU written with all the rules, what's going to happen, how it's going to be done. But see what's happening. It's coming, the HRSD is coming this way. So keep your nose on the newspapers and listen to the radios. And something that definitely needed on this north end, that we're kind of, the county, I say we, are kind of behind the scenes trying to facilitate a child care roundtable discussion aimed at the north end of the county. The one that they did down at the south end there, in that sports bar, they made it into a child care, is really done well. They're open 24 hours because there's 24-hour people working, nurses, and cops and all that kind of stuff. So we're trying to get something up this north end. Wallops was talking about doing something inside the gate. That wouldn't help us out here unless you got a badge to get inside the gate. So we're looking at something on the outside. So I think it's gonna happen, hopefully soon. Hopefully soon, because child care is a big deal. We got 600 new houses coming up to house these rocket scientists and doctors and everybody else that wants to come here, school teachers and nurses. And we got to have a place for the kids to stay while they're doing that. The town has been contacted on this, I
Yes,
think.
we have.
And you're willing to sit on the board.
I told Mr. Mason that we would
Yeah.
absolutely want to participate in that.
Yeah. So keep your fingers crossed on that one. And I was told I shouldn't bring this up unless I'm asked, but I don't like to have any surprises for you guys. But we approved a 3% pay raise for the EMS people come July 1. Of course, it's across the board for everybody, and also for that second part of that compensation study that we did. I can't remember what percentage. We had enough money put aside to pay 73 or 74% of that raise January 1. Now we're going to pick up the other 20-some% in July 1. So I'm not sure what that means, but they go where the money is. Same job, and I think conditions here are better than down there, but that's why I'm a little biased about things on this side of the causeway anyway. So I'm open for questions. If you've got any questions, I'll certainly try to answer them. It seems like really, once the budget is approved, and that's been all approved, we don't hear much from the county anymore. But from the middle of February until the middle of March, we're meeting about every week by something. Then after that, I have to call up and say, am I still on board? Haven't heard nothing from you. But give me a...
Well, I was going to save this until our council comments, but I think it's appropriate to say it while you're standing here being our representative. I've 8 years this month, July, 8 years July, I've been on this council, and for 8 years this town has fought, clawed, done everything, for the most part, I guess, about getting this inlet study funded.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody in Richmond is listening to us. Nothing against our counterparts on Tangier, but all they got to do is make a phone call and millions of dollars drop right on the desk. It was in the paper last week, the money they got. I talked to Mike about it. This ties into what wherever Don is at,
She's gone.
she gone. What she said earlier, you know, I'm out in my boat. I was out there. Arthur's out there. Gunboat Point is going. The hammocks are getting ready to go out there. The tides are so astronomical coming in here. The state has just put, VDOT has just put more rocks out there to the lowest point of the causeway because they know it. We need help. We need the county to push for this, and we need to push for it even more than what we're doing. If that means we got to hire a lobbyist again for a little while, then we might have to do it. But we have sat and sat and sat and waited too long to get something done about this inlet.
The inlet study's going on.
No, it's not going on.
Well, it's been approved. The
It's
money,
been approved. The money is not there. The state has not given us the money, correct?
It was approved several years ago, but it's not been funded.
Yeah, it's
never
not been
put in the
funded.
budget.
well, the budget, as far as I was
There-
understood,
I think where the confusion is, the Corps of Engineers has not funded this study. It was approved by the Corps of Engineers, or I should say authorized by the Corps of Engineers
Just
several years ago,
yeah,
like 2016.
50/50, yeah.
But now the Corps of Engineers has to put it in their budget and actually fund it. Last year, I believe it was last year, Delegate Bloxham was able to secure our 50% match for that through the state. But since the Corps never funded their part, we weren't able to use that, and that
Okay.
money disappeared. So, yes, our 50% was funded by the state. It was sitting there ready to go. It was a line item. I saw it in the budget myself.
Yeah.
But Corps of Engineers never funded it, their 50%, so nothing happened.
So we need pressure put on the Army
Yeah,
Corps.
I wasn't aware of it. I'll certainly bring that to the,
Yeah.
because I don't think our county staff was either.
You know,
I mean,
and
we got,
I'll say it again, you know,
we took the money that we put aside to help fund something else that was going on here. We had some, like
County's been-
$150,000.
County's been putting $50,000 a year in
Mhm.
their budget just to help us with that study.
yeah.
Yeah.
We need to put pressure on. And you know, the town does, the county does. You know, I'll
Well-
go back and say it. Everybody wants Shingatig's money, but nobody wants to give Shingatig any money.
Last year, the Army Corps of Engineers was given $26 million for dredging projects on this shore.
Well, you brought up about, you know, what's going on over here with the rockets, and they're going to buy this and that and the other. You know,
Yeah.
in the meantime, south end of Shingatig is getting swallowed up. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want to wait any longer for the town or the county to put pressure where it needs to go because, you know, we wait a little bit longer, then we'll have the waves up here to the front door. And, you know, something has got to be done. And I'm not a patient person, and everybody that knows me knows that. And it's real hard. But, you know, I'm asking you to ask the county to put some more pressure on.
Yeah, I'm just going to call the Corps myself
Thank you.
because we got a pretty good relationship. Being on the Waterways Committee, they sit on there with us, and we'll find out what's going on because we were under the impression all they were waiting for was somebody to match their money. So they got the match, and they haven't budgeted.
Delegate Bloxham secured a match for us through the state legislature. And I talked to the Corps. They didn't fund it.
Mhm.
We've had the colonel down here. We've had his whole delegation down here. We've taken him up on point. We've shown him everything, explained everything. We came in here. We went through everything that we're facing with this, and this was a year and a half, 2 years ago, to try to
Yeah.
kickstart this whole process, and nothing.
Because it's not, you know, 8 years since I've been dealing with it, or I say dealing with it, but as being on council, and then that study's going to take 3 years.
Yeah, it's a 3-year
You know,
study.
so-
Mhm. Yeah, it was actually Jack Tarr when he was sitting there got that approved. The
I
study.
think Jack's on the original letter.
Mhm.
Yeah. Any help? We'll take
Yeah,
it.
I got a contact I can call and see where it's at.
Thank you.
Billy Joe, you mentioned earlier about Rocket Lab and the farmland outside of the gate of NASA. So one of the things that we're seeing, especially just outside town limits, when you go across Queen Sound, is all the parking on the causeway when these events are going on, which is a hazard. It's a traffic hazard. It's a hazard for Brian and his folks trying to get back and forth. So I don't know exactly how this would go forward. I don't know if it's a committee type thing between Rocket Lab, NASA, the county, whoever it may be, but finding a way to develop parking areas
somewhere around the visitor center so that, number one, they can park, and then potentially a place for them to watch the launches, because it's a hazard. And if we're gonna see more of this type of thing, which we all want,
Yeah.
then the investment needs to be made on that,
You're
from
exactly
a
right.
safety standpoint, and also just from a better place to watch it and a better way to experience it. So I didn't know if that's something that maybe the county could.
They've already had meetings about it.
Okay.
DeGeorge, the one that took over second,
Mhm.
he's actually got Wallops, Dave involved, and then I believe Virginia Space also, and the state police,
Mm-hmm.
because when they have those midday launches, it's terrible, terrible.
Definitely is.
We did have a meeting about that. How long ago was that, Joanne? 2 years ago?
About the parking,
Yeah, about, the visitor center has limited parking, but that's where they send everybody.
mhm.
And then when they fill up, they're parking on the side of the road and get hung up in the ditches. And,
yeah.
we had talked to NASA about trying to expand parking over
And
there.
Didn't you understand that the state police wouldn't be already on steam and everything? Well, this past
Didn't
one,
happen.
I was stuck in it with a dumpster truck.
Mm-hmm.
And there was not even NASA security out there trying to do anything.
Yeah, it gets overlooked.
Yeah, it was
unfortunately.
about an hour
Mm-hmm.
before we started moving. But yeah, but I know that the committee, they've got 2 or 3 people on the committee talking about it already. I don't know when the next one's going to be, but those midday ones,
June 20th?
not good.
June 20th? Isn't our launch June 20th?
The June 20th is the next one. All right. I'll see if I can get the call on anything else.
All righty.
Did you want to talk, Mike, about this thing with Only?
It's
on there.
It's on the
Is it on
agenda
there?
later
Yeah.
on.
It's
But
on
you
there.
can talk about
Later
what's
on.
up from there.
I've got some mosquitoes to go kill.
For here?
Yeah.
Go kill mosquitoes.
There's nothing to kill down there.
All right,
They don't have
with-
no machine.
All right, with council's approval, that is item 11. We can move that up. If council so deems they want to talk to Billy Joe while he's here.
You got any questions?
Yeah, I guess we need a motion for that if we're going to follow Robert's rules to move it.
And then I'm asking for a motion to approve the construction of the MOU.
Yeah.
The MOU would be brought back here after it's written for council's approval.
And I haven't read the MOU, but just to let you know, it takes about an hour and 10 minutes to spray the whole time. It's just incorporated limits. Use about a gallon and a tenth of product
Of only, not here.
for Only. I would go down there as a town employee with the town truck and the town thing. Their machine's broke, and they're at a council meeting tonight trying to get a new one.
And I would say, too, real quickly, currently Billy Joe is the mosquito control employee for both towns. The MOU will anticipate him not always being there, and there are certain requirements that we're going to have to meet, like license requirement and pesticide license requirement, experience and all that, insurance, all that will be addressed in the MOU.
All right, well, let me get a motion to move item 11 up so we can discuss it now while Billy Joe's here.
I'll make a motion to move item 11 to now.
Second. Motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. So, would you like to read that MOU, Mike?
All right, and we don't have the MOU yet, but I'll read the history of this. On May 28th, I received a request from Ms. Susan Miller, who's the town manager of Only, to consider renting some of our mosquito equipment, our spraying equipment. The town of Only sprays mosquitoes using similar equipment and chemicals as Chincoteague. Only is currently experiencing critical issues with their sprayer, and they are investing in brand new equipment. Until the new gear arrives, they had no way of applying pesticides. Ms. Rillo wanted to rent some of our equipment. It occurred to me just a year or so ago, we were in a similar situation where we have 2 sprayers, 2 trucks, 2 sprayers, and one of the motors on one of the sprayers went down. It was right after COVID. No one had any stock of anything. We got very, very fortunate when I called the factory and that they had one with 2 hours on it just laying around, and they even gave us a deal and shipped it to us. But we went several weeks with only one sprayer, so it occurred to me this could be mutually beneficial. Ms. Rillo certainly seemed to like the idea. So the idea is when they go down, we lend them equipment. When we go down, they lend us theirs. They're going to have brand new stuff, by the way. So, but it appears that both towns could benefit from a memorandum of understanding that permits the use of each other's equipment. The MOU would dictate the terms of use during an outage so that it would not affect the application schedule of the municipality providing the equipment. Ms. Rillo offered to have their town attorney draft the MOU, to which I'd provide any edits, and then both councils would have to vote to approve it.
What kind of compensation?
Well, there wouldn't be any other than each town would be responsible for their own expenses. They'd be responsible for the chemical they sprayed, but likewise we would be responsible for the chemical we sprayed.
I just, I've been thinking about it, and I just, as much as you want to help other places and all that, our taxpayers paid for this equipment and this employee, and I don't know.
Well, we'd be paying our own employees. We obviously about the only and again, the MOU would address the direct costs, of which there would be insurance, fuel in the vehicle, wear and tear on the vehicle, things like that.
So what's the schedule right now for Chincoteague? What's our schedule for spraying?
Well, Jeff?
The schedule of spray. Let me walk up to the microphone. We every morning I'm counting certain areas, and not getting many mosquitoes in the areas that we're spraying. So it's actually where the hot areas are is where we go. The chemical has on the label areas shouldn't be sprayed more than 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about what we're usually averaging, 2 to 3 times a week. If we go in the mornings before the sun comes up, if the wind's right, or we go after the sun goes down, hour to. So we can't spray when there's any pollinators out.
Right.
Federal
Is it
law.
still like it was where you were spraying like one side island
Right,
and one side
right.
the other day, or
The-
offsetting day?
The island, I've got it broke up into 4 spots: A, B, C, and D. A, B north, C, D south,
Mhm.
and it takes us about 3 hours to do each little section.
Mhm.
Eddie takes one, I take one. He's all the way up north tonight.
Mhm.
We've had a few complaints last year going by people's houses 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, because it takes.
Mhm.
If you do the whole north end, the whole south end, 4.5, 5 hours. So we're out there about 3 hours now.
So
It'll
when
make-
would we spray if I don't want to say when, if council agreed to this, when would only get sprayed?
When we're not spraying, and
Yeah.
that's I even put that in the memo here, that they whenever they wanted to spray was whenever it was available here when we weren't spraying.
Mm-hmm.
That the host, and the same thing, if they were going to lend us equipment, we'd have to work around their schedule. Obviously, they don't take as long to spray, so we kind of be gaining an advantage there. But I will say too that we've adopted some parameters that weren't there before: wind speed, rain, truck speed.
Mhm.
There's a whole lot. There's a list of parameters in this truck now that drivers use. They don't go out and turn the machine on. So we're particular in that those parameters have to be right before they get in the truck and start spraying. So by doing that, you reduce the number of opportunities in a week's time that you had to actually spray one of those 4 quadrants. So I think we'd be fortunate to get all 4 quadrants in 3 times in a week.
Yeah, it would be. Like I said, I've been contracted by only for the last 2 years, and working for you guys for the last 3 years. So sometimes if blowing a gale up here, it won't even blow a match out down there. So I can go down there and spray.
So as far as the spray, I know you got the cost of the truck, that is what it is, but as far as the sprayers themselves, what do they cost us? Like, what is the cost of a new sprayer?
Well, the
if we get
motor
one?
I was referencing that we needed was about $2,500, $2,500 to $2,800. We ended up getting it from the factory. It had 2 hours on it because it was a special project engine. They charged us $500 and they threw in shipping.
Mhm.
So we were very fortunate there. The whole sprayer and everything's what, 15 grand? They're paying
15
for theirs.
grand for a new one.
And that's with
Yeah.
the motor and the sprayer and everything, calibrated, installed, and all that stuff. We're fortunate our guys back here can do a lot of things to their sprayers
Yeah.
to keep them running.
Yeah.
But
When's the last time we bought a sprayer?
we have not bought a sprayer
Built
since
a motor.
I've been here, since
think it was-
2020, but we did, as I said, we did get a motor last year.
I think they're about 6 years old. This is
Okay.
the 6th year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have to go back and ask again. So Only's not going to compensate us for anything?
Well, and the MOU, again, I'm going to offer limitations. I mean, this can't go on forever, so we'd put a hard and fast not to exceed a certain number of days in a row, or not to exceed a certain amount of time. In other words, if you haven't figured out your problem since then, we're not going to keep helping you at it.
We're going to pay Billy Joe to go down there and spray?
No. They only would pay him when he'd have to come up here, get our truck, drive down there on their time,
Use their chemical.
use their chemical, put their
Yeah,
gas
just
in our
whatever I
truck.
use, whatever I use from your truck, I'll just reimburse them from their chemical.
We're using the same chemical we are, so.
Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
Bill Joe, how long would you expect it to be down?
They get approved tonight,
Uh-huh.
probably 10 days, I think, by the time it's delivered and installed.
So you just need this for 10 days?
Like I say, we
Yeah.
might have to go down there twice,
Yeah.
you know, 3 times at the most.
I'm not, there's no comparison, what I'm getting ready to say. We're going to very shortly see some different towns' names on side of ambulances this real soon, aren't we, Brother Brian? We're going to see some Bloxham Fire Company ambulances come
Coming
through here and
over,
help us
yeah.
out. You know what I'm saying? We are. I think we got to have each other's backs in a 10-day thing. I mean,
So this mutual exchange agreement will end sometime in the very near future. It's not open-ended then.
Well, the idea was to put it in place. They have brand new equipment. We have 6-year-old equipment. Everything breaks down now and then. But if we have a breakdown and can't spray for a week or two until we get a new engine again, then, you know,
You bring it on up.
we could bring their equipment up. We could pay the driver, we could pay the sprayer, we could put the chemical in it, and they're just lending us the equipment. We'd reiterate the same thing if they had an issue.
Same man calibrates all the machines.
So
He'll
if
be
we
here
saw that they weren't holding up their end, that we could break
Yeah,
the
there'll
MOU
be-
at any point.
Every MOU has
Okay.
out clauses in it, you know, and we could make sure those are tuned up. Again, we haven't even written the thing yet. This is just an approval to explore it and maybe craft a draft copy of one.
Yeah.
Council would still get to see it, edit it, and just not approve it. Then you could always go back and say, hey, we'll rent it to you. Or not.
And we need, basically here, we need 2, where they just need 1.
We've been in a
So
position
we-
where we only had one, and
Right.
it's very difficult to be effective with just one piece of equipment. As Billy Joe said, it takes about 3 hours to spray one of the 4 quadrants, and they're spraying 2 a night if they're lucky.
All right, council is asked to vote to approve the creation of the MOU with the town of Only for the shared mosquito control equipment. The final draft of the MOU would be presented to council for approval. Is there any further discussion?
Just one more comment. If they're going to be set up in 10 days, by the time this gets back to us,
Yeah.
they'll already have their equipment, right?
Could have.
But you're asking for an open-ended MOU to
Well,
allow.
it'll have a specific term where you'd have to renew it. If it doesn't work, we just say, hey, we don't want to do this again. But yeah, we're looking down the line in case we have a breakdown.
Yeah, I'll make a motion for the creation of an MOU, approve the creation of an MOU.
I'll second it.
Motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Nope. All right. Thank you.
May I go to work now?
Please. Especially if you're spraying the north end. Billy Joe, if you're spraying the north end, good work.
Time for politics.
All right. Now we're back to staff reports. Mr. Talbot, General Government.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you all know, the MRC gave us a grant to remove abandoned vessels around the island. We had 4 abandoned vessels identified, as well as some gear that was left by boat burn. There was an article done in the Eastern Shore Post a few weeks ago, and that spurred more interest than the article I had placed the week before asking for quotes. So we now, we ended up getting 4 quotes. I qualified 3 of those contractors. Unfortunately, the low contractor was not qualified. And we will see that later in the meeting. But I did extend the deadline for submission of quotes until Wednesday the 29th, just for that reason, because we had so much more interest after the article. The trolley, ridership's been very good on the trolley thus far this year. We've got about 1,000 riders through May 4th. I'm sorry, through today, when they started May 4th for the Seafood Festival. Billy's been talking to DRPT, Department of Rails Public Transportation, who funds the trolleys. The trolley that the town would like to buy was valued at $40,000 by the dealer. Actually, it was valued between $40,000 and $50,000. Billy, in talking to DRPT, got them to accept the lower value of $40,000. The first $5,000 of the trolley purchase, the town would get to keep, and we only have to pay 80% of the remaining balance, which brings our total investment down to $28,000 for this trolley. And kudos to Billy for the good work he did on that. DRPT is not the easiest agency to deal with sometimes. We expect the first use of the trolley to be for the Blueberry Festival because of the construction of additional ball fields on Little League Field. There's not as much parking for the Blueberry Festival this year. I think they intend to get the use of both schools' parking lots, in which case we'll probably be using the trolley to move people from school parking lots to the venue at Civic Center. Traffic lights, always a wonderful subject. The state has on just before Memorial Day put the lights in their summer mode. There's a brand new mode at the bridge. I kept an eye on it, and maybe Tyler can comment on this as well. I kept an eye on it over Memorial Day weekend. I did not see backups. Okay, so far so good with that. All the lights are in their summer mode now, so they should progress traffic more quickly along Maddox Boulevard going east and west than they do on the crossing streets, although there should not be any significant backups on the crossing streets either. The center, Marius, has been very busy. Prom was there on the 10th. Good time was had by all. There's been a couple of arts and crafts classes there through May. I also had a couple weddings there, as we did this last one this weekend. And it seemed to be getting to be a more popular wedding venue. This is the third, this past Saturday was the third wedding in about 30 days. So, and she wrapped up the Grace Under Pressure classes on the 29th of May. For the month of May, the center was used 15 out of 31 days. And June will be even busier. Rocket Fest starts next week. The kids will be building rockets and launching them on Little League fields. It's always a good time, and they were very pleased when they left last year with the venue. Moving on to Meals and Transit, the data in the table below represent collections for the month of May, which of course is the business in town for the month of April. Although they have both Meals and Transit have exceeded their budgeted values for FY24, both Meals and TOT taxes were flat or declining for the month year over year. This makes Meals decline or Transit flat, and Meals actually declined considerably. So a check of the past due payments indicates that we have no more than average past due payments, which tells me that for the last 3 years, Meals and Transit have been flat in the month, at least in the month of April. If you remember, last month we were up considerably, so we'll continue to keep an eye on that. Financial report, there's nothing to report other than we are just where we should be. Nothing out of the ordinary. We will have some more detailed information for you at the Budget and Personnel Committee meeting this Tuesday coming on final numbers for this year. And building and zoning, you see a picture there. That's a concrete pump pumping concrete into the site for the YMCA, new YMCA building. We don't see a concrete pump on the island very often, so Mark got us a picture. Total value for building cost construction in May was $556,000, and total permit fees collected $3,867. And with that, if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Two questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Building and zoning, is the computer software
Yes.
helping?
Yes.
People are doing it online?
We continue to bring people online all the time. We could probably benefit from some education. But Mark does that on a person-by-person basis as he sees them. The ones who've done it online, it goes very quickly and they like it. And I can tell you that I hope there's a lot of people that build watching this, but when you submit a permit online, generally the permit's ready the next day. In a lot of these cases, he can get the permit that next day. If you submit it by paper, it could take several days. So it's much quicker if you can do it online, and it's not hard. I even figured it out myself.
Second question I have, and you probably forgot about this, report from the front office there.
I did not forget about it. We're going to compile that and we'll have it for you. But yeah, we did it for the month of May as a sampling, May 1st through the last day. I just haven't sat down and compiled it yet, but I will do that for you.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions for Mike? Thank you, sir. Next up is the police. Chief Greenlee.
Yes, sir. On May 3rd, our agency aided with traffic control for patrol at the Seafood Festival. Late that night into the early morning, we also provided security for all of the vendors that were coming there. On May 8th, Investigator Barnes attended the FBI National Academy Associates Technology Summit at the Virginia State Police Headquarters. It was first come, first served for FBI National Academy graduates. I had a prior commitment, so I couldn't attend, but I was able to get Doug there. It's basically a summit showing all the new technologies in law enforcement. I feel like we're behind in some areas, so I sent Doug there to gather some intel to see what's out there, hoping to maybe improve in some areas. He brought back some good information. Unfortunately, a lot of it cost a lot of money. On May 13th, we hosted Coffee with a Cop at Blackfin Restaurant. It was our first year doing that. We had about a dozen citizens and visitors show up, express their concerns. I think whereas the first year, I'm hoping that was why we didn't have as big of a turnout. I felt we really got it out there as far as advertising and stuff. But we're going to do it again next year and keep it going. May 15th, SRO Jim and Annie provided the Chincoteague Elementary School pre-K class with a tour of the police department, complete with an interactive investigation that the class completed while receiving the tour.
They ate the evidence.
Yeah, they thoroughly enjoyed that. So we always enjoy having them over there. On May 16th, SRO Carmody and Jim and Annie manned the Chincoteague Police Department Job Fair booth at Chesapeake College in Queenstown. Again, they put us with other law enforcement agencies. I don't know why these places keep doing that. I've instructed John and Gina to try to get away from the other agencies so we could kind of stand out on our own. But they're going to one tomorrow, actually, at ESCC, so that one's a little bit more local, so I'm hoping to have at least something out of that one. And May 22nd, 2024, Lieutenant Gladding and Dispatcher Adams attended a Level 1 DART training that was online. DART is the Data Analysis Reporting Team through the Virginia State Police for our incident-based reporting system. Basically, any summonses or arrests that we make, all that data has to get sent to the state so they can analyze it. They're changing some things on their platform and the way they collect their data, so it was essential that both of those two got training. Something that's not in your packet is both of our SRO grants got approved again this year. So that's great news. That's all I got.
Any questions for Tyler?
If time would permit, and your personnel would permit, would you consider doing that coffee with a cop like twice a year?
Sure, absolutely. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. The conversation that
Yeah.
we had with individuals was great questions. I think it was great for the community, honestly. So,
My thought was that people know it, once a year they might forget what happened last year.
right.
But, maybe twice a year.
Yeah,
get
maybe.
people's minds going or
Yeah,
something
maybe
to
one
follow.
before summer.
Yeah.
Something that we might be able to help fix, and then maybe kind of like a hot wash of summer, and maybe get some opinions after summer.
If you would think about it. Thank you.
Anything else? All right, moving on to Public Works, Wes.
Good evening. Might skim through kind of quick because there was one or two things I wanted to tell you about that's not in the report, but we did get all the cemeteries cut before Memorial Day, although it may not look that way now after a couple of rain events and a little bit of sunshine. It seems to grow quicker all the time. We also installed all the banners, had approximately 25 more this year than we did last year, and we tried to accommodate people as best we could as far as location of those. The next slide is Leonard Park, and I guess I'll wait to hear some direction on that, but that's you can see the progress we've made there. So another item that we did is we replaced 220 feet of storm drain on Willow Street that had collapsed and was just absolutely full of mud. So we've got that replaced ahead of the paving that's going to take place on Willow Street. So that replacement will help Cropper and Cleveland and all of those areas to drain. Working on the construction of the walking trail at Brianna's Park. That's, as of today, that's at about 90%. This was a picture from the day we first started it. So, and then as far as the water department, we've started directional boring of a water line replacement for Piney Island. That water line is in place. The old line is abandoned, and one side of the new line is hooked in. We're in the process of chlorinating and disinfecting that before we get it turned on. The other thing I wanted to tell you that we've been doing this month is these tables, and commend Joe on a good job on those. So he's continuing to work on that. The other thing that I did this month was, you all remember we had Student Government Day. Well, my student Public Works Director, since that day, has filled out an application and wishes to get employment with the town. So I must have made us look fairly decent. So anyway, in June, we got a lot coming up. We've got asphalt pavement, some concrete sidewalks being replaced, and some driveways being installed. Continue the regular maintenance stuff like spraying and painting some curb. I acquired some yellow paint from a marking company, so got a good deal there. And just continuing these other projects that we've started and we're in the middle of. So if you got any questions, I'll answer them.
Go ahead.
Yep.
So last month I'd asked you about the ditches, and you guys were getting ready to meet, I think, a couple days later with the man with the equipment.
Yep.
What's going on there?
Nothing has happened. I'll just be straight up. That sales rep that had made an appointment to come visit has never followed through. So I need to reach out and contact them and see if they'll come pay us a visit, because our equipment is down. So.
And with the spraying of the weeds and stuff, y'all do that like once a month? Is that how you do
About
that?
once every 6 weeks is what we've been doing. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else? Is the town putting water line up on Wildcat?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
directional for.
Yeah.
Yep.
They were setting up today. I don't think they got a whole lot done. Something must have broke down or something.
I think they were just fusing the pipe together today. They'll probably bore it in tomorrow and pull the pipe back Wednesday or Thursday, something like that. Yep.
I don't know if we were paying for it or if they were paying for it. Anyway, all right. Appreciate it. Next up, Mr. Rush.
All right, good evening. So Mr. Talbot will work the PowerPoint for me. From your report, we had quite a few calls in those last few days of the month. So we ended up with 100 responses, which is right on the pace that we had last year for May, 100. So the end of May is a really busy time period, obviously. So again, still running what we were last year at 100 calls next week. So, we're always training, always for those difficult things. Every year we go to the lighthouse before they open, and we train there on various things. Someone having a medical emergency, a trauma emergency at middle way up the lighthouse or even at the top of the lighthouse is not like down here at ground level, walking in a house, a couple flights of stairs, things like that. It's a challenge. So a lot of our newer employees that just came on this year had never had that opportunity to go in there and to train. And some of the things that you need to think about when you respond there. It's not like just going into someone's home, walking in, asking a few questions, and go pop in the ambulance and away you go. This is going to be a time-consuming event. We end up doing it a couple times a year. Thankfully, we've not had to carry anyone completely down from the top yet, but certainly there's a lot of modifications with our equipment to go down. For anybody that's ever been in the lighthouse, it's a circular stairway. So circular stairways are not easy to navigate. But every time we go there, someone comes up with a different idea that makes it easier. Simple as S-hooks hooked onto some of our equipment will slide down the railing inside of the lighthouse. So it's things like that we do. Pick points for rope rescues. There may be a time where we may end up, instead of carrying someone down the stairs, we might go over the outside ledge and come down with them. So again, we have folks on staff that we train for that, and then the ones that aren't qualified to do that, we still want them to know what's going on, because it's kind of an all hands event when something like that happens over there. And then a lot of timing scenarios.
I want to know who volunteered to be the one in the cart going down. On
So
the
we did not send anybody over this time, all right? But again, believe it or not, it's not as scary as you might think. There's a lot of safeties involved. We do it off the ladder over here, from in the air, and do a lot of practicing and stuff like that. But it's not as scary as you think, especially when your adrenaline's pumping. Now, just to go over there right now, you might get a little scared, but you really, when the adrenaline's up, you don't think anything about it. And then again, our timing. A lot of things that have to be done. There may be situations where we're actually doing medical care at the top and come down a flight and have to do more medical care. So getting our timings and things down. This is not a time where you just throw them in an ambulance and drive off to the hospital. We might be an hour and 15 minutes providing emergency care until we're able to even get the person to an ambulance and or an awaiting helicopter, depending on the situation. So again, we're always training, and if you see us out and about in the community, don't necessarily get scared. Just know that we're trying to make sure everyone is as safe as we possibly can make them. One thing I'll point out on the logistics part of the report, the Medicare. I've been working with Billy Joe, wish he was still here. This has been since January we've been working on this. 148 page document to fill out a lot more pages than that of a report, just so the fire company can get reimbursed from Medicare. And if you don't have it filled out right, they could cut your funding. They might not fund you at all. So it's been a really arduous task, and we finally got that certified last week. So thankfully we're moving ahead with that. On the emergency management side of the house, of course, we're continuing our weather monitoring. Things have been stable, but certainly this time of year brings about more severe storms. And then as of June 1st, of course, we moved into what is traditionally known as hurricane season here in the Atlantic Basin. Continuing to participate in the Regional Catastrophic Planning Grant. Maryland was awarded this grant through FEMA, and Maryland, Virginia, and Delaware are working to come up with a plan for a shore-wide evacuation. We had one years ago through the Delmarva Task Force, but that's since become outdated. So Maryland's got the money, and the rest of us are participating in the committee to try to come up with a good, robust plan that works for all 3 states here on the Eastern Shore. And then IPAWS. I want to thank Tyler. Tyler has got the Code Red contract in his department, and been meeting with some folks about the integrated public alert warning system through FEMA. Our Code Red now currently, folks have to sign up in order to receive alert from us. So when they sign up, they get on our call list. We send them an emergency alert, or we send them a alert that their roads are going to be closed for maintenance, whatever. With the IPAWS system, if a tornado warning were to come up, and we had that set in our system, that alert would automatically go to our Code Red, and it would automatically go to all the phones that were in the area that we designated for that tornado warning, for example. So right now, unless you're signed up, you don't get any emergency alerts from us. But with the IPAWS system, we will be able to push those alerts out. Now, we're going to be limited, on what alerts we do push out, because I'm a big fan of only getting out that emergency alert, because if you get so many alerts from us, you're going to then, Chincoteague again, what are they telling me now? Or they're going to pick daisies on Taylor Street tomorrow. People are not going to pay attention to us. So I want to make sure that we are very, very to point with our information. Now, if someone comes from, say, Pennsylvania, and they're Tom's Cove Campground, and a severe thunderstorm warning comes up, they might not know. But through the IPAWS, it'll push that information out to them. So we can still have folks sign up, and they'll get our messaging, but also the extreme emergency messaging will be pushed over our system. So Tyler was on a meeting for me that I was unable to attend, got some great information. We're trying to put some things together. There's a little bit of training, but it looks like for a very small cost, we will be able to initiate IPAWS. So hopefully by the end of summer, the goal would be to have IPAWS on our system. So next, please. So with that, the Atlantic hurricane season for 2024, NOAA took a piece of spaghetti and threw it and saw it stuck. As you can see, 17 to 25. That's a pretty wide range. I mean, I think we could all, come up with that. But the point to be taken here is everything is coming out showing that this year could be a busy year in the Atlantic Basin. 17 to 25 storms. There's a lot of named storms. The big thing to take from all this is it's not how many. It only takes one, and it only has to be close. And we've talked about tides and sea level rise and things tonight. We see what happens on just our astronomical tides in the areas that get flooded. So when a storm is coming close and messaging goes out about, hey, you could see some tidal flooding, it's no joke. You could see some tidal flooding. And every area gets a little bit different, so I urge everyone to understand your area, because, a northeast wind, yes, brings tides to Chincoteague. However, just a couple degrees difference can make it one area worse than another area. So it's something to really pay attention to. So with that, prepare now. If you notice the little slide there, that's on our Facebook and webpage, went out today. Every time you go to the store, just purchase another item for your emergency preparedness kit. You don't have to buy it all at one time. Certainly hurricane season has started, and nothing's to say that we couldn't have a storm next week. However, traditionally, end of August, September, October is our busy time during the hurricane season. So over the next few weeks, if you purchase a couple items every time you go to the store, you'll be well prepared. Next, please. So in summer, EMS calls are busy at the May 23 pace. Busy hurricane season forecasted this year, but again, it only takes that one storm. So only takes one, and it only has to be close. It doesn't have to be a direct hit. All the new hires have completed their competency checkoffs and field training. We're planning all of our big summer events now, trying to get all those sent up through the proper channels. And then again, IPAWS for better emergency alert and awareness. I'll take any questions.
I don't have anything.
Oh, okay. I do. Are they having a hurricane meeting coming up?
So I sent you all an email today. There's a local elected officials Microsoft Teams meeting this Thursday, 10 a.m. Somebody from Homeland Security at the governor's office and VDEM will be on just to discuss, what the season looks like and some of the new changes that VDEM has put in place for this hurricane season.
Okey-dokey. Thank you.
Right.
Wait a minute, Jay.
We're going back to the iPol system. Do you have to have internet connectivity?
No, just have to. You would be on a cell tower. So your phone. When you get a silver alert or things like that now that over your phone, it would be the same principle.
Okay.
You would get that
I know
alert.
a lot of seniors out there don't have.
Right.
internet
Yep.
connectivity.
No, it would be over the cell phone, and just in that fashion. And again, only what emergencies we set it up for. Certainly we wouldn't put that Kilauea volcano was erupting and all the way out in the Pacific Ocean. That's not an emergency to us. It'd be those extreme emergency situations is what we put out there.
Somebody else? All right, now, thanks, Brian.
Sure. I'll stick around for a little while. Okay. You good.
All right. So next up is a proclamation for the local Gun Violence Awareness Day. This proclamation recognizes that Friday, June 7th, 2024, will be proclaimed Local Gun Violence Awareness Day in the town of Chincoteague to honor and remember all victims and survivors of gun violence and to declare that we as a community must do more to reduce gun violence. Whereas every day more than 100 Americans are killed by gun violence alongside more than 200 who are shot and wounded, on an average there are less than 13,000 gun homicides every year. Whereas protecting public safety in the community we serve is the public official's highest responsibility, and whereas support for the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with keeping guns away from people that shouldn't have them, and whereas the vast majority of the legal gun owners abhor gun violence and love and respect the peace and liberty that this country stands for, and whereas on June 7th, 2024, people across the United States will recognize National Gun Violence Awareness Day and wear orange in tribute to the victims of gun violence and the loved ones of those victims. And whereas the color orange symbolizes the value of all human life, and whereas anyone can join this campaign by pledging to wear orange on June 7th, 2024, to help raise awareness about gun violence, and whereas by wearing orange on June 7th, 2024, citizens will raise awareness about gun violence, the value of human life, and honor the lives of gun violence victims and survivors. And whereas we renew our commitment to reduce gun violence and pledge to do all we can to keep firearms out of the wrong hands and encourage responsible gun ownership to help keep our children safe. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Chincoteague declares June 7th, 2024 to be Local Gun Awareness Day. I encourage all citizens to support their local community's efforts to prevent the tragic effects of gun violence and to honor and value all human life. Signed, J. Arthur Leonard, Mayor. All right. Next up, we have committee reports, starting out with Budget and Personnel. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I don't have anything to report outside of what's already in your packet.
All righty. Moving on to the exciting meeting that they had with the Rec Commission. Gene Wayne?
Yes, on May the 20th, I was rehashing something that happened with somebody I knew that had gun violence with a teenager. And it was on May 28th, 2024, we had a Recreation Community Enhancement meeting. Like you say, we're going to review Donald Leonard Park. I'm not gonna lie to you. I appreciate. It had a so-called parking lot there. It was hardly recognizable, but I think we needed to designate it where like it's not an overly big parking lot, but it does designate parking. The grass has been replanted and it'd be underneath the straw fence that you saw a while ago. Probably best thing to do is maybe lay off the fencing right now, because like I said, the area that was going to be fenced, it is nice, highly elevated, even though the wetland overlay on it. I'll actually like to do more at that part to because sea level rise is a fact. Don't let nobody tell you that it's not. It's coming in there. But I went into Mike Talbert's office and we done an overlay onto it, and even though, like you said, overlays aren't correct, it was heavily overlaid, wasn't it, Mike? And so I don't wish to really do anything more to be done, but I think it'd be more usable. I've seen people there using it. We also had a group come there and they wanted more shade, and so what they wanted was one more pole in front of there and do the same size shade sail, and we agreed that at the thing that day we would try to accommodate them.
At the dog park.
At the dog park, yes. The other one, like I say, and Wes, certainly thank you for doing the meeting. I know you won't get suckered again, but we do appreciate it. You've done a very good job too. And like you said, I'm not going to lie to you. I do appreciate you doing the park, the trail stuff for Brianna's walking trail. Like you say, Mr. David Landsberger donated the property money, and that's something that he wanted. And like I said, I really feel that it's something that I would like to accommodate. And it's, like you say, 9% is a big enough. Appreciate all you do. Like Donna was saying about the saucers, as you all know, I don't talk plane, but I was trying to say she wanted 4 saucers down there. I suggested 1, not for a 1-person saucer. And then she said, well, I said, well, why even 2? I didn't want to put something down there and it'd be up. I'd rather put 2 saucers for the kids to try out, and if it does work and everything's fine, then spend the money on 2 more instead of putting something down there and you find you got a problem and have to take them out. Like I said, I would like to try the 2 saucers for them to be able to chill out. And like I said, that would work out fine. There's no problems. And like I said, then spend the money on another 2 additional. And they're not single person ones that I was talking about. It's the same size saucer that they get in and sit around and hang out for a while. But I originally said 1. But like I said, I would like to put 2 down there for the kids to have a place to chill out, like I say. And if it does work out, there's no problems or issues, like you're saying, like the ship, you know what I'm saying? As long as it's not an issue, then like I said, they want more and you need more, put the other 2 in. But like you say, we do need to do whatever we can do for kids to have a safe place to go and do and have a place for them, like I say. But like I said, I really would probably suggest putting 2 there, and then like you said, saucers like they have at the campground. And then like I said, if it works out, they need more, then we could do 2 more additional. But other than that, that was it.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So, I'm going to assume, like everybody else, I rode by and saw the millings down there, but I never saw it discussed anywhere. I was just wondering how it came about.
Millings, like I say, I know everybody likes to have blacktop, and please don't think I'm this person that, but when you blacktop stuff, word just runs off. It just causes more, but you know what I mean. Like I said, probably even David would rather have it blacktop. The more blacktop you use, the more. Not trying to save money, because the millings putting down there have been finely ground. It's not junk millings. It's a fine pattern, high quality. We trade junk to get back high quality, and that's that's the reasoning.
Hang on, G. Wayne. You're talking about 2 separate things.
Yeah,
She's talking about Don Leonard Park, and you're talking about.
How did that come
Brianna's
about?
Park.
Because I never saw it discussed or in any agendas or anything.
It was brought up at the dog park, and I'm going to go on memory here because I haven't seen the minutes lately, and since they were done, I haven't listened to the tape. But the concern at the budget the concern at the Parks and Rec meeting, RCEC, was that the bare spots need to be replanted. My comment was that since to put new grass and topsoil down there and replant this, we're going to spend a lot of money when the cars are just going to run over it and make it bald again. So if we were going to do that, we should identify some parking spots and then plant outside of that, was the comment. We put some millings down. The idea was to just put some millings down to identify a parking spot or parking area so that we could seed and put some topsoil and seed the rest of it and make it look good. The idea for the fence was to, if you don't separate the parking lot from the rest of it, people aren't going to just drive on the lot, they'll drive on the rest of it, and you kind of defeat the purpose. It was brought up in RCEC meeting, but the idea was we weren't going to build a full-blown parking lot and pave it and stripe it and all this kind of, we just wanted to put a little bit of stone down so that we identified parking and we could see the rest.
During that RCEC meeting, did Donna express her concerns then about it?
She did, about the grass and seeding. Yes, she did. She definitely wanted grass and seeding, and I believe she did say something about the bonfire causing it. But my experience has been if you continue to let people drive on the grass, you won't have any grass.
I think we were trying to establish an order down there too, because we had people parking all over the place, and pulling into the back of the marsh there, and pulling all over the place.
And in all
Pulling
honesty,
right up to the picnic tables and so forth.
I was just wondering, because like I said, I drove by and I was like, oh, there's stuff there. And I just didn't remember anything being discussed anywhere.
in all honesty, there were already some parking bumpers there in the same area as where we put the millings down. We had to take the parking lot. They were all overgrown and they had sunk down, and we picked them all up. Did you reuse them, Wes?
We're going to. We're
Yeah.
going to bring them back here and power wash them and paint them yellow and repurpose them somewhere else.
But so we put the parking right back where it was. We just put some millings down underneath of it so people have something to park on.
Maybe what we could do instead of a split rail fence, I mean, I've seen them in other places where, you know, it's a water view or whatever, where it's a short fence, you know, it might stand that tall, but it's enough to keep people from
In fact, there used to
driving.
be one just like that down there along the road.
Yeah.
Not more than a foot or so. Right?
But I noticed it was done too, and I was kind of glad when I saw it, because after the decoy show, that lot, it was tore up. I guess it had rained and everything else, plus everybody parking over there. It was in pretty rough shape.
Well, yeah, we discussed all this during the RCEC meeting that we were in discussion with, but give them a place to park, and then let the rest of it be seeded and grass and very nice, you know, but it kind of separates the traffic. It also keeps cars in one area, the pedestrians and animals and everybody else in another area, and you don't have to worry about getting run over. It was kind of a free-for-all down there.
The grassy part is a nice elevation. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a dump. I mean, I don't care what the overlay says. You know what I'm saying there? I don't care what the overlay says.
Oh, yeah.
That's a nice chunk of real estate, and that people can go and play on it. And if you had an occasional person drive on it, I don't think you're going to tear it up like it was tore up.
It was in bad shape.
But do you understand what I'm saying? I think in that particular place, if somebody occasionally drove up it and it wasn't in like a heavy rain or that situation, but I really don't feel that the parking lot itself is overly done in parking. I mean,
Well, like I said, it's the same dimensions as the parking lot that was there. We just
Right.
identified it with some stones is all.
Yeah.
They are parking on both sides of it. I saw that today.
Because there's no bumpers.
Well, I saw the truck there today, parked right there at the kayak way. Anyway.
All right, any further discussion with?
But I mean, it's up to council, like I said, what they do want to do about the fencing part of it. I mean, like you say, I mean, do I have to with the elevation of the thing, unless it was really bad weather and somebody was just trying to be obnoxious? I don't think they tear it up like they would in that area that was tore up, like he's just talking about. I think that the Millens are taking care of that, you know, with that part.
If we do, I mean, if we do anything, it needs to be low profile.
All righty. Next on the agenda is the adoptions of minutes. Mike, is that for the month of May? I would take it since they weren't in there. So entertain a motion to adopt the minutes from our May meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I apologize, that was my omission.
It's all right. figured it out. Next up is to consider the awarding of the contract for the abandoned vessel removal. Everybody's got it in their packet. We had a couple people apply, and Mike can give us the particulars on the 3 that actually were approved.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Mike.
We had, as I said, after the article, not the ad that I put in the week before, but after the article came out on this, I had several phone calls. I had, of course, a few calls that didn't pan in or didn't turn out to be quotes, but we did have quotes submitted by 4 contractors. I qualified 3 of them. The low price is from Cockrell Marine Railway Incorporated in Heathville, Virginia, who loves to do this kind of work, according to him, and is very excited about coming here to do it. As you can see, he's considerably lower than the other 2. He does have a Class A license in the state of Virginia that is currently in date, as opposed to one of the other people who applied.
Did you see about adding that barge?
I have not yet. I have not been able to get up with Rachel, but I can still get up with her, and we can add that after the fact, if she allows us to do it. There's still, as you know, we've got $60,000 in the grant. So if they can give us an add to this and keep it under that, I'm sure she will. I would think that she would rather us spend the money than give it back.
I knew we have to do it, but I sure hate to see that money go off the shore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just looked up Peaceville. That's over in the Middle Peninsula.
Yeah, I looked them up today.
That's kind of crazy that he can truck his equipment and barges. And
I haven't spoken with him for too long. He may have something already in the area that would make more sense.
And dump trucks and everything else you're going to need.
If you'd like me to do some more research on this, we don't have to award this tonight.
Well, I'm like Denise. I'd feel more comfortable issuing it to somebody local. You always want to try to give it to local businesses. Discussion to council, pleasure of council.
Both of the Shingatig contractors are reputable contractors, so I don't have it. I don't know the other one from Adam. You know, he might be fine too. But like I said, both of the contractors they would do the job.
I feel the same way. I think either one can do, just as long as they got the proper permits and license.
I mean, at least if we have a problem, it's you're dealing with somebody local versus
an unknown.
Yeah. If they don't do the job, and then you have to default them or whatever the situation is. You know.
I will say this job is not large enough that we would bond it, so there will be no bond on this job.
So, what would you need, like a motion as far as like the next lowest local bidder? Is that what you would?
I would like to go back
and
look at the grant. The grant directions for the grant were very short, and I'd like to go back and ask some questions because this was not specifically covered in the grant documents themselves. So I'd like to go back to the MRC and ask them some questions on how they feel about us awarding it to someone other than the lowest responsible bidder.
Okay. Was there a time restraint?
We have the money through the end of the summer, I believe, till September. So there's time enough to get this done. They're going to do it in a week when you get them here, so that's not going to be a big deal. But I would like to, before we go out and award this to someone other than the lowest responsible bidder, I would like to talk to the MRC and see how they feel about it. It's their money.
A motion table.
Motion to table this and get more information. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank y'all. All right. Moving on. And if the longer we wait, the more vessels turn up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got people stopping. Hey, can they move this old boat out of my yard? No. So, we're up to mayor and council comments. Start with my left, Jay.
I pass.
G. Wayne.
Mike, I would like to thank VDOT because, like you said, where they put that rock, it was immediate issues there. Because I know when they first done it, I was going to say thank you for that one, and I know another place, and even before we even said anything, they were already doing it.
It's undermining the road.
It's right there undermining the road, and tell them we appreciate them because it was. Tell we appreciate it, and like I said, if we can get some extra quarry stone there, all Queens. And I have thank dear Lord for it, but old truck. But I guarantee if I had a brand new Mercedes Benz, every time you go across that over there Queen Sound, and that salt water's blowing on it, going all over it, if they could put some more quarry stone there further out and higher to break that up, it'd be greatly appreciated too.
I wonder if we could put in a application for a complete bridge to go across there instead of driving on the marsh. Anyway,
30 years from now, you'll get it.
100 years maybe.
Yeah.
The way they move, they don't like us over here. Anyway, Billy.
Mike, one thing, I don't know how we might be able to spur it along, but what we were talking about earlier with Billy Joe with the parking for the rocket launches, and you heard by zone admission, they've had a committee, they've had it for a couple of years, nothing visible's been done. I don't know if maybe the town can maybe get involved to try to push this along, because it benefits us more than it benefits anybody.
We can certainly do that, and I will tell you that Mr. Rush keeps her feet to the fire every time we have a meeting on that. We talk to him constantly about opening the visitor center, that sort of thing, just to alleviate that problem. But
There's plenty of land around there to put some spur parking or whatever in. I mean, so light some matches, Brian.
we
park on
own a
grass
piece of property,
inside
maybe
the
we could sell it to them over there.
Yeah.
We'll lease it to them.
Lease it to them.
$100 a car.
Per event.
That's right. Per event.
All in the wording.
That's all I have.
Vice Mayor Bott.
I don't have anything, thank you.
Denise.
Oh, you know. Yeah, I would, like I said to Billy Joe, I was going to wait to talk about that, but since he was here, but this is, again, I'm not a patient person, so this is bothering me. And when we had our lobbyists, and you and I and Mr. Ben and Jim West went over there to Richmond, and that's a circus. That's the only thing I could do that. You're trying to talk to senators and congressmen. They're coming out of the bathroom. They're washing their hands like, yeah. And I mean, that's all you got. But this town, we have got to be proactive and staying, just like you just said to Brian, keeping their feet to the fire. We're in trouble down here on that south end. And when I went out the other day, low tide, it was still rolling through there like something crazy, which leads me to my next question. When you're going out of the harbor in your boat, on the right side there on a low tide, you better stay to the left. Who's responsible for dredging that out?
The Army Corps of Engineers.
Them too.
They go through there when they come up 2 times a year, I believe, to dredge the channel. They go into the harbor and dredge that, and they maintain it to a depth of like 6 feet going through the harbor. But that shoaling on the left-hand side or right-hand side as you're going out, I think we could probably get Vernon to put some markers up, like he did out in Tom's Cove, because I've seen boats pile up there before.
Yeah.
And I think it's just as easy for Vernon to go there and stick some poles up to warn people to stay,
But if they were just here in March, and here it is June, and it's like that.
But they don't dredge that. They dredge just the entranceway. They don't dredge. They don't get off to the right there. They don't.
Just coming through the breakwater.
Just coming through the breakwater is what they dredge. Just the width of their dredge is what they dredge. They don't get off.
I believe they were here in March.
Yeah, but they don't get over to where you're talking about.
Well, I want to see us come together and be very strongly worded to the Army Corps and get anybody on our side that we can get, Rob Bloxham and whoever else, Kiggins, whoever's in the seat at the moment. They all want to come here, and Kiggins was here, I think, Luria was here, and weather was too bad to take them out and everything, but I think this is one of the most pressing and serious things facing Chincoteague right this minute is that south end, that inlet. It's terrible. The other thing I want to say is congratulations to our chief on his new baby boy. That's awesome.
Appreciate it.
And go Yankees, because they are on fire right now.
Like the middle name.
Ms. Ellen?
No, I don't have anything, thank you.
All righty. I don't have anything for the good of the order this evening. It's summertime. Be ready. 'Cause Memorial Weekend was an eye-opener. Holy cow. All right. I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session according to 2.2-3711A3 Code of Virginia for the discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real estate.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All righty.